All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. And I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And I want to say peace and blessings to those for elect, hearing this word in truth and in sincerity. All right, I'm the brother Awalam from the GMS West Palm Beach Camp, back with another lesson. Through the Spirit, just want to do something along the lines of, rest. As being here in Babylon the Great, constantly, we're working, to the point where, the little rest that we even get, is not enough to, reset, and I can speak, from personal experience, the 2 days of rest that I do get, it's not enough, because the Monday I do go back to work, I'm still tired, I'm still, sluggish bodily wise, man. And that just shows you right there that we're in captivity. And that brings back to mind, at camp on Sunday, we had a Jake that came up. It's always these Jakes, that know that they're Israelites and they know a little something, they have some kind of knowledge. It's always them that tell themselves that they free. We understand that the scriptures does say, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And that's mentally and spiritually, man. All right? But physically, we're still, under captivity, under our enemies, man. Beginning with the so-called white man, Esau, And therefore, being under the captivity of this man, we're still, we're stressed out. We're tired. The scriptures talk about in the book of Daniel, I want to say the 7th chapter, how he would wear out the saints of the Most High. But this is 2nd Esdras chapter 8 and verse 52, and it says, "For unto you is paradise open, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded," and this is all talking about the kingdom of heaven, "and the rest is allowed, perfect goodness and wisdom." It says rest is allowed, because here in this captivity, rest pretty much is not allowed, man. You try to take a breather, before you know it, it's always something that comes up. Whether it be, family drama, whether it be some in your personal life, something always happens. Like, you can't just go home one day and lay down, and have a good day. Even when you're going to sleep at night, man. You're going to sleep at night, but you're not going to sleep peacefully. You're going to sleep, thinking about the shit you got to do tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? See, in the kingdom of heaven, we won't have to worry about, slaving or going, being in captivity under Esau, man. Matter of fact, in the kingdom of heaven, we'll be able to sleep peacefully, because, we're not going to be stressing about the job that we got to go to tomorrow. Matter of fact, in the kingdom, if we want to sleep, we're going to sleep, man. But, really, we won't have to sleep. We're going to be in those new bodies. Those new bodies will never get tired. The Lord said it himself in the book of Isaiah, right? In the book of Isaiah, chapter 40. In verse 28, it says, "Hast thou not known, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting power, the Lord Yahweh, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary? There is no searching of his understanding," because the Most High Yahweh doesn't get tired. He's not in a corruptible body where, the flesh gets weak and then now you gotta go to sleep to rejuvenate yourself. And that's only down here. Okay? Verse 29 says, "He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength." And that's, in our case right now, man. Brothers, that got to go to work, slave for Esau 10, 11, 12, and some 13 hours. We're faint, man. We're tired physically and spiritually, man. All right, but guess what? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is going to give us strength. It says, verse 30, "Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young man shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." See? So in the kingdom of heaven, even before, we transition to the kingdom, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to give spiritual power, all right, to his men, all right? A brother's going to be doing, supernatural things out here, man. Running like the Flash, flying like Superman, jumping like the Hulk, different abilities that you see in these comic book movies, all right, they're going to be done in real life pretty soon, And in the time of Jacob's trouble, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to make known his power. And that's only going to be an inkling of his power, man. And the kingdom of heaven, is going to show the full blessing that the Lord has stored up for us. Okay? It says, I'm going to read that again. Verse 31, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. All right? And when you're weary, you get so tired to the point where you damn near ready to pass out. You get tired to the point where, you want to go to sleep. All right, and wake up refreshed. You know what I'm saying? But in the kingdom, that's not going to be necessary. Okay? Not in those new bodies. All right, we're going to be extraterrestrials, man. All right? Let's get the book of Hebrews. And I wanted to make this real quick because Jake, got to go back. Hebrews chapter 11. Was it 11? Slide again. Let me see if it was. Was it 11 or was it 6? Let me see. Nah, it wasn't that. But the point being of this lesson was, rest is going to be allowed in the kingdom of heaven. Where as to here, we can't even get no rest, man. Once again, when we lay down, we're still thinking about, the bullshit we went through in our day. All right, and the bullshit that we got to go through the next day, So, this is hell, man. All right, this is hell. We got to get out of here. All right, but we will get out of here soon, man. When Yahweh shall return, destroys this wicked empire. That's all. The only answer, man, the only answer is for Yahweh shall to return. Anything outside of that, is false and it's a heresy, man. Because you're gonna have that in these times. You're gonna have, false anointed ones, like the Lord warned. What's that guy name? Fuck. The guy that Jake look up to, Yahweh ben Yahweh. That dude was a false prophet. And that Jake that came up on Sunday, he was a follower of Yahweh ben Yahweh. He was a believer of Yahweh ben Yahweh, man. So things like that. Guys that come in the energy and instead that they're the Messiah, that they're the Savior. Those are false prophets. Anything outside of the true and only begotten Son, the Savior, all right, coming down here and taking Esau out of power, it's false. And the only way, it's easy to cut that Yahweh ben Yahweh stuff, man. All right, because you gotta think about it like this: if you really understand the scriptures, right, you gotta ask yourself who's ruling the world right now. Because when Yahweh shall return, ain't gonna be no Edomite ruling the world. Every Edomite on this planet is gonna be in chains, So that's how you know that these people that follow that guy, they're completely lost, Because when Yahweh shall return, he's going to be ruling. Him and his elect, 144,000 men. Okay? Now, Esau's not going to get a piece of the kingdom, or like a part of the world, and Yahweh Shah is going to take that part of it. No. It's not going to be like that. Esau's going into captivity. They've had their rule. They reign. All right? And they've destroyed the earth. Now they got to go down. All right? Thus saith the Bible. Okay? So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to those for elect, hearing this word in truth and in sincerity. Till next time, I say shalom.